Welcome back to Kingdom Cast. It's your host, Super Champ Chuck. We back at it with another episode, and football is back in the preseason. Jets and Browns Hall of Fame game currently going on. But don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share all your social media platforms. I'm going to introduce the panel here real quick as we bring back an old friend of the show. Actually, a good friend of the show. I ain't going to say old friend. He's a great friend of the show, actually. So, my guy Country's at the top middle of the screen, getting his Woody Page on. My guy T-Max on the top right. My guy Boogie's on the bottom right. And our special guest from the Athletic, one of the top Chiefs beat writers, you'll know, our guy Nate Taylor.
For the third time, the trifecta.
Yeah, no, we are back, man. It's crazy. Thank y'all for having me as always. Thanks for everybody watching and listening. But no, we made it, y'all. When the first preseason game starts, it's really like, okay, there's nothing now. Like, we in the dog days of camp. I don't know how much we're gonna learn. When's the first preseason game? When can we get this started? So it was good to see that. I guess Zach Wilson is definitely QB2, but no, man, it's nice. It's nice to be doing this from my house because I know bright and early tomorrow I got to drive back up to St. Joe. So
Nate,
this will be fun.
I got to ask you the most important question of the day.
Okay.
How was Barbie?
Oh man,
what the hell?
I knew we might do this either before the show or after the show. If for background purposes, for context, this is like maybe like a week and a half ago. I can't even remember now, but
it was a couple of days ago.
Yeah, it's like maybe like a week ago. You know, I'm here at St. Joe. I'm going back and forth. You know, the ladies get together. Holly, my wife, Amanda Jeffries, who's married to my good buddy Mike Jeffries. We all met in college at Central Missouri. So the ladies decide, hey, we can get a joint babysitter on Wednesday night, which means, you know, we're gonna go see Barbie, and you all need to sign up. Now, I did tell them that I'd already seen Mission Impossible with my dad,
which is incredible.
Which is excellent. Incredible. I actually felt better about that ending of part one than Spider-Man, when I just looked at my son and I was just like, he's not thrilled. He's not thrilled. He's not thrilled right now. Like, no, he's like, that's it. He's like, yeah, man. Like, they gotta make another movie, man.
Man,
it won't be quickly, but quickly.
And it won't be. Yeah, it's gonna be a year, dude.
It's gonna be 4 years before we see part 2. It's gonna hurt me so much.
Why are you doing? Why would you? D-Mac, don't even say that, bro. Like, we gotta wait till 2026 to see.
Hey, them designers and developers are like, man, that was a grind. I need some time off.
Country, Mahomes will be making $60 million a year by the time we get part 2, dog.
Spider-Man is amazing too. You took your kids to see it, Boogie? You took your sons yet?
No, not to see Spider-Man, no.
Oh, man, Spider-Man is great, bro.
It's yeah. I mean, Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, so it's an easy sell for me. And yeah, they've done great with the Miles Morales story. But yeah, I saw Country up at the AMC on War Parkway, trying to get my little date night on, little double date action. My quick review of Barbie is it was better than I thought it was going to be. And it does, you know, it does pull at your heartstrings for the ladies, the relationship that women have with their mothers and what dolls represent. So, like, it was cool. There was a lot of funny parts in it. You know,
a lot of cameos too.
Yeah, a lot of cameos. Shout out to Kate McKinnon. Every time she was on screen, I was laughing. Will Ferrell's in it. But yeah, it was a nice movie. And then we went back and just kind of hung out at Mike and Amanda's house. But that's the little break I got from football was watching Barbie for 2 hours and however many minutes.
I know. During the grind, man, I know a relief away from football sometimes is very important. So
yeah. But it's like Okay, you want to watch your little Bachelorette? That's fine. You want to watch, you want to watch your, what's it called? And Just Like That, like the new Sex and the City show on like, HBO Max. Like, hey, if you want to do that, that's fine. But we got to watch these 8 hours of quarterback. So the trade-offs gonna happen.
So you gotta take it for the team sometimes.
Yeah. It's just like, it's like, hey, I know you're interested in Brittany. She's in it. So there you go. Like
that's a selling point.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins' wife is in it. They get the the wives in there, but yeah, man, it's cool to go from like not thinking about football like around 4th of July, and then you really are like, okay, who's gonna make the team? Who's gonna like do well? Who do I want to do well? Who do I think is gonna have a bigger role this year? So it's great, man. And people in St. Joe have been really nice so far. They've had big crowds. I will say that. Like, this might be the most people they've had leading up to like the first preseason game that I can remember. And this is my 6th season doing this. So yeah, they've had large crowds. There's only been one major injury from what I can tell so far with obviously Kadarius Toney. So if they get through camp, then everybody can get super, super, super exciting. Yes, it look, man. I knew for sure. I don't have to answer my phone. I don't have to even look at this thing, guys. I don't know when this man's coming, but I was told like early August or somewhere before like the preseason game or whatever, which I think is August 13th. Is my memory is correct?
Next Sunday.
So when we saw Barbie, that was like late July. I was like, this is fine.
Oh, I'm good. Don't worry about
nothing's happening. Nothing's going on. And then you try not to like be annoying about it, but you like check in every couple days and you're like, anything new? How you feeling? Are you happy? And this is on both sides. It's like this is on both sides of the negotiation. And yeah, no one's like gotten angry yet, but if he's not there by like the first preseason game, then like
Andy Reid.
Yes.
Yeah. Andy Reid.
Yes.
Like,
yes. Yeah.
It's like that GIF when it's escaping my mind, but that GIF golly, when you just walk into the room all of a sudden and everything's on fire or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
The Donald Glover is like, I just got pizza.
Yeah, Donald Glover. I was trying to get his name right. Donald Glover. Yeah.
So, which do you think happens first? Andy Reid is upset, or Chris Jones' bank account starts hurting for the vibes?
It's probably Andy Reid gets upset.
Probably Andy Reid gets upset.
Yeah. Like it's crazy, man. Like a couple days into camp, we all started calculating, right? Because it's not just every practice, it's every day he's away from the team. So when you don't report, you're just giving the team $50K a day. I mean, which is like crazy. And I don't know why the Players Association agreed to this. Like, why? Like, hey, they're not testing you for weed anymore. That's great. But also, why does the franchise tag still exist? And why are you letting guys who have legitimate reason to like negotiate or want to like, hey, like I don't want to come if I don't have my contract situation right, and that's okay because like other people can get the reps, other people can get more practice time. But like, I'm a starter. Why do I have to get fined $50,000 a day? Like that's stupid. But no. PJ Green from Fox 4 looked this up. Yes, earlier today. It was either today or
friend of the show.
Yes.
Our cousin.
Yes. And so I was like, P, how much he already in the hole? And so we calculated, and I was like, actually, scratch that. What if he misses the entire training camp from the moment they were supposed to report in like late July to like when camp ends in like August 17th, 18th? He will be fined $1.4 million. And it's like at that point, it's like somebody from Missouri Western was like, I don't think I'm gonna ever make that much money in my career. I was just like, isn't that all of us? Like,
yeah, really.
And do they have to? I know this sounds crazy, but do they have to pay that fine? Like, are they really fining him every game?
They
Or,
have
yeah,
to.
yeah. Like now you can I don't think I've talked about this, but like sometimes the agency will cover you for a certain portion of it because of course you're working, they're working on your behalf to get a deal done, right? It's like, hey, sit out for a minute, let us take care of like half of it or whatever the percentage is, and then whenever the new deal does get done, perhaps some of that is taken into account in terms of the commission. Yes. Yes, I am a Mule. Shout out to Central Missouri. I don't think we ever beat Missouri West, Missouri Northwest when we were there.
Yeah, I know a couple friends who play for the Mules, and yeah, dog, it wasn't pretty.
Hey, Delaney Walker is our guy. He is our statue. Delaney Walker, ladies and gentlemen. He the last great one we had. But now like. So the agency, I should say, because Chris has a couple agents. You say, hey, look, man, it's gonna hurt right now, but if you actually want the deal that you want, it's gonna eventually pay off in the end. So that's their position. But yeah, you got to give that money back. Now you can say, hey, my client sat out, he's ready to play, he's ready to go. Do us a solid, and like part of the signing bonus is the fines. Now I don't know if the Chiefs will do that. They really haven't been in this situation before, especially since the new CBA has kind of come into effect. But even for like the crazy thing is, and this is kind of off topic, but the crazy thing is, and I think Chris knew this, and we're seeing it play out in Indianapolis because some people were like, well, why doesn't he like show up? Why doesn't he just show up and just chill? Chris loves football too much, and I think if he was there, they would have sweet talked him into practicing. And I don't know if it would have gotten this petty, but with Jonathan Taylor being like, hey, I'm here, I'm going to be in the meetings, I'm going to be with my teammates, and then the Colts are like, yeah, we still going to find you. And it's just like,
yeah.
So what's the point? Like, hey, I'm trying to do my thing. I'm trying to protect my body. I'm trying to get ready for the season in my own way. I want you guys to like value me. I want you guys to give me what I feel like I deserve, or at least meet me halfway. And the Colts are like, ain't your back tightening up? And he's like, no, my back is fine. Nah, man, that back don't look right. Actually, did you get hurt from last season? Did your back tweak last season? Actually, we're gonna find you because you're not practicing. And it's just like the CBA is really in a lot of ways, it still slants a lot towards the team. So that's one reason why Chris isn't there. It's just he could get fined whether he's there or whether he's not, depending on what the team how they feel about the situation.
Hey, so Nate, they said it's a massive number with Chris Jones. That's the last rumor we've heard. Are you hearing the same thing? It's a massive number?
Yeah, I mean, I reported this, I want to say maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, but just that, hey, the Chiefs would be great. Chiefs would be thrilled if it was like, I don't know, 27, maybe even 28. Aaron Donald makes 31, and Chris, from my understanding, is at 30. Like, I want to be right next to him. I think Chris understands that him getting more than Aaron Donald is likely not going to happen. Aaron Donald is a multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year. He was the best player at the position. Chris's argument is, I'm the best player at the position now from the interior, so I should be paid equal or close to, that $30 million benchmark. And the real issue is, if you give him $30 million, does it give you as much cap space this season and next season that you want? If you could say, why don't we get you in at 26? All right, maybe 27. Whatever the signing bonus is, whatever the guaranteed dollars is, that's sort of locked in. And then how much can we play with it to where you're definitely going to be on the team this season and next season, but is there an easier way for us to get out of the contract in year 3? And the good thing about Chris's deal that he's on right now, which I think was like 4 years, $80 million with the chance of going to 85 based on incentives, was he was going to get to the third year. Because he was obviously really good. He was important to the team. He was still really young at the time. So unless he had a major injury, he was going to make 3 years of real money. And that's where we are right now. He's made 3 years of real money. Chris is going to be 30, though. So this time, it's like, can you guarantee me that you're going to get the same production 30, 31, and 32, and we're going to get the same investment on the money we just gave you in the last contract? That's the gamble. You know, Chris could have a great year this season and start to decline next season or 2 years from now. And so what the Chiefs have shown is, hey, Tyrann Mathieu in their eyes was starting to decline. We signed a 3-year contract. You're a free agent. We'll let the market tell you how valuable you are, even though we know you intimately more than anybody else in the league based on what you've done over the last 3 years. And again, he didn't have a major injury. It's just the playing football at this high of a level year after year after year, like it's really hard to do. So if you're the agent, I want 3 years guaranteed based on how the contract is structured. So if it's a 4-year deal, it's really a 3-year deal. Chiefs would like to say, hey, it's a 4-year deal with the chance of you getting to the 3rd year. But if it doesn't work out, we still have flexibility after the 2nd season.
So if we were doing spades, it'd be 2 and a possible?
Yep. And you better be right. You
better be right.
You better be right. So, that's the thing, because if the agent tells you, hey, you're going to be on the team, they're going to work around you, they're going to build everything in your powers. I don't know how Chris is going to feel if the agent says there's a chance for them to get out in year 3, or they might do you in year 3 what they did to Frank Clark last year, where, hey, if you have a decline, we might have to restructure it so that you know, and I know, and everybody else know you're not going to be on the team after this season. And so I think Chris saw what happened to Frank to some degree and is keeping that in the back of his mind. But he just wants to be paid what he believes he deserves. And I've asked around to a lot of people. That guy's a $30 million player based on what he did last year and the fact that he's their best pass rusher. Like, there's just no way of getting around it. It doesn't matter anymore if you're on the edge or if you're on the interior. Aaron Donald kind of broke that. And Chris is just following that same path. So if your best pass rusher is going to help you get to the Super Bowl, he probably is going to make $30 million. Nick Bosa is not at the 49ers camp. And I could say that man is like a $33 million player. Like, Nick Bosa is like quarterback money defensive player. And then we're not even going to get to Michael Parsons, who's even younger, who's even more terrifying. He a $35 million player just waiting on his time. So if you give him 30 now, it might hurt the Chiefs, but there are going to be guys that are going to top him in the next couple of years. Even someone like TJ Watt, Watt might get 32 from the Steelers because he's really good. And if you're really good, I think fans and us need to start realizing that, like, pass rushers are going to start making quarterback money, like real legitimate quarterback money, because they're the only things that's stopping these great quarterbacks, whether it's Joe Burrow or obviously Mahomes. The only reason why he lost the Super Bowl in 55 is because he was running for his life. So that's where they are. But I know fans, when I reported the 30 million, fans were like, whoa, that seems high. And
it's not.
A lot of agents are like, that's like, he has a right to ask for that and to at least negotiate that. And if you want to watch the team without Chris Jones in week 1, I mean, that's a possibility. But I already know watching training camp, man, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Joe Tooney, they are moving them boys. And they need Chris. Like, they really, really need him if they're trying to win another Super Bowl.
Simple as that. I got to your point about Tyrann Mathieu, right?
Yeah.
When the Chiefs was seeing that there was some decline in this game, before he essentially went to the Saints, right?
Yep.
I think it's different with Chris Jones because, like, I'm not a big analyst guy, but I did see this pop up on my timeline this morning. It was showing like wins after replacement as a defensive player. And Chris Jones, for a while, he was right in that 0.35, 0.37. He was just like in the 0.30s somewhere. And then last year, he shot out to 0.57 wins above replacement. So I feel like we getting peak Chris Jones right now. I mean, I don't see any signs of decline. I mean, like you see in the film, you see in the games and all of that. So I feel like you should just go ahead and try to get this done as soon as possible. That's how I see it.
Guys, I'd be worried if he wasn't there for the first preseason game. I would just be like, this isn't smart on both sides. Like you're not trading him. He's not going anywhere. He's going to play this season. Right. I don't know why you would want to get it to where he feels disgruntled or Andy's like, this is a distraction, or he didn't get as much practice time as we thought. If you sign him, he gets to come right to camp, get in that football shape, in that football rhythm, and he can be ready to go week 1. And I think that's something that like Chris's agents will probably be pounding on. It's just like, I'm sorry, are you trying to win on September 7th? My guy is training in Miami. He's ready. He just needs to be paid accordingly, right? And once we have an agreement, he's going to be on the first flight to Kansas City. Then he's going to take his little drive up to St. Joe. He's going to galvanize the guys in the locker room. He's going to make a point that, he is the leader now. He's going to play, the same way he played last season, even though he's already shown on a big contract he can be a big-time player. So that's not an issue. Everybody on the athletic and medical staff knows him. So it's not like they have to get used to his body. They know how to help him get ready for games and whatever the treatment plan might be for something. So you don't want this to drag out past like August 15th. Because after the first preseason game, I believe the team really starts focusing on what the ones need to get ready for Detroit. And then it's about the twos. How can we maximize the twos for the second preseason game? And hey, who do we need to get one last look in the third preseason game before we make the cuts? But after that first preseason game, when guys are like, hey, we played, we played a football game against, another opponent for like a quarter, like Pat's ready to start thinking about Detroit and like who's on their defense and how they're going to scheme against them and all that stuff. So it would help for everybody to get in rhythm on defense if Chris is there too. The second thing to your point, Charles, is I know Brett is smart about this, and I know Brett has felt like the Chiefs have a lot of leverage because of what they've shown in the draft, how they've managed their cap, how they've brought guys in every year that helps the team be successful. But Chris is a player they drafted, and everybody in that locker room wants him to get what they believe he deserves. So it's really tough for a general manager to say, I got to get the approval from the coach and the owner. And then I have to figure out how to manage this so that the team can re-sign Creed Humphrey, re-sign Nick Bolton, because those are the two names that come up most when you talk about the future, given that they're both second-round picks who are obviously starters and really good at a young age. And how can I not alienate the locker room, but at the same time do what's best for the team? And so it's a struggle. But at some point, coach and general manager might have to come to Clark Hunt and say, we need to get this guy in, and we're going to have to give a little bit. And the Chiefs haven't given a ton. The last person that they gave a real contract that was where I felt real leverage was weaponized was Patrick's deal. Like, hey, how can we keep this dude on the team for at least the next decade? And they were like, how can we guarantee all this money? Well, as long as you're on the roster, every year it's gonna balloon, guys.
You're gonna push it off a little bit, push it.
Yeah. Every time you're on the roster, it's on the books. It's just,
we got a 12-year run road. We
just got to spread it out. We got to spread it out.
Hey, Nate, do you subscribe to the theory of it seemed like everything was going cool, and then Frank Clark went signed with Denver? Did that throw a wrench in the plans? Is that you subscribe to that theory that threw like a wrench in the pants a little bit?
It's a great question because I haven't thought about it a ton. I know that Chris was recruiting Frank at the White House.
Facts.
Yeah.
And it was clear that Frank's like, hey, you know, it feels good to be a champion. I did my job last year. I showed up in the postseason. I think fans might forget he played 15 games last season, which was different from the previous couple of years. And so he's still a quality veteran. I do think Sean Payton is smart. And I think Sean Payton's like, we're ready, man. We're ready. Come on.
A little bit over there.
Come on. I got to get the rivalry back. You know, I got to the funny thing about Denver too is they have such a young team that we actually need you in the locker room. We need you in the meetings. We need that, you know, that edge that you sort of give guys on game day. And I think Chris was like, they're going to do right. You know, they're going to do right. They want me. I want them. It's going to be right. And then Frank was like, look, man, they're offering me pretty good money and I want to see where it goes. And Sean Payton's no dummy. Sean Payton's a good coach. So I know I'm going to be taken care of. I know we're going to actually try to win in Denver. And yeah, I think it hurt Chris that they didn't get another chance as repeat champions, or at least to try to repeat. And I wrote about it in The Athletic. I remember telling Chris, I'm like, this might be it for you guys, you know, because I already knew last season he's not coming back. Unless something crazy happens and y'all win the Super Bowl, and then they won the Super Bowl. And it's all right, well, maybe there's a chance. And even Beach at the Combine was like, we having some talks. It's possible, you know. Of course, they had the whole Orlando Brown situation to get through first. But he was like, if Chris is cool with it and Frank is ready to go on a 1-year deal, we might make it work. But Frank is smart, and I do think the sense that, hey man, I want to be ready to go by training camp, and if I'm going to join a new team, I need to be there from the start of camp all the way through. He wants to do it the right way in that aspect. If I got to learn a whole new playbook, whole new coach staff, whole new teammates, I need to be there day one of training camp. And the Chiefs were like, look, man, we got to see what's going to happen with Quentin Williams in New York. All right, we just got the Jeffrey Simmons deal in Tennessee. So the timing was never right for both sides. And I do think it hurt Chris because Chris knows that that Frank is important, not only to his success, but that the moment they made the trade, those guys hit it off really quick. And they've won together, they've proven it to one another. And it's gonna be weird, I think, for both of them when the Chiefs play the Broncos this season. I think it's gonna be weird on both sides, and they'll hug it out after the game. But that whole week leading up to it, where you're just like, I can't tell my guy what we gonna do, and damn, I just want to see, I just want to hear what Sean thinks of our team and how the meetings are going, all that stuff. You kind of have to set it aside. But yeah, I think it hurt Chris that it was pretty much known that was Frank's last season, and then whenever the reality. When reality becomes the outcome, you're just like, dang. And it's just yeah, man.
Yeah, that's my guy.
That's the way it works. And they drafted Felix already.
Yeah.
I mean,
they probably thought that Super Bowl was going to save them another year.
Yeah, you hey, they got Charles Omenihu. They signed him in free agency.
Karlaftis in his second year. We got
guys.
And then Frank disclosed it the night before the Super Bowl. He was talking to all the guys in the line room, saying that it's possible that it's the last time we suit up on the field together.
Yep.
Let's end it the right way. So.
Yep, and that's why he cried in such that was sports movie-esque type cry, where it's just yeah, man,
he's Freddie everywhere. He's got the shirt over his face, and he's just taking it all in. And
he's feeling every part of it, and
and they let him have that moment too. Nobody was bothering him. They let him have that moment.
Yeah, yep, and he didn't want to. the cool thing was like sometimes you know as reporters you're like, all right, next season. What about next season? You want to come back? You know, I know they're about to release you. You want to be back? And he's like, nah, just right now.
I just want to enjoy this.
Let me be right now. And it's like, I'm sorry, man. That's like kind of the job. Like, but congratulations. But also, where are you trying to go next season?
I'm gonna ask you this question because it's a little bit of the team side. You said that you checked in a little bit on them. And you mentioned obviously Nick Bolton and Creed Humphrey, two young guys that are going to be looking for extensions coming up here. Overall, from a philosophical standpoint, with obviously we know the pivoting off of Tyreek Hill made sense for the way that the offense is constructed. We know Patrick Mahomes, we know Travis Kelce is fairly locked in for the next 3 years. Chris Jones in his place, you mentioned obviously the two and a possible. Is the team flexible enough from that, their cash budget standpoint, the way that they're constructing the cap? Do they see this as a window with Travis Kelce in this roster and signing Chris Jones as a pillar of that defense for these next 3 years? Because it seems like that makes sense to me as they continue to add money to this. Yannick Ngakoue, he probably got a bag from the Bears because they have a bunch of money to spend. What is it?
10.5.
Yep, he got it. They needed to get to the salary floor, so I knew they were just going to throw a bunch of money at him at some point.
Yeah,
perfect sense.
That's a lot. How many years? Just 1 year?
Just 1 year. Just
okay.
1 year.
They need a pass rushing edge. It made all the sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I think D-Mac noticed that when I was like,
yeah, you looked at your phone. I was like,
exclusive.
Yeah. Hey, Ryan Post is like, I can't do it another year like this. We have to start winning.
That's not
can't do another year like this. But no, it's a great point, D-Mac, because who is their best player on defense?
Chris Jones.
Chris Jones.
Who's going to be their best player on defense next season?
Chris Jones, if he signs. Hopefully. We hope.
Right.
I mean, it's tough, man. You could say, well, George Karlaftis, if he has a great second season, then he'll keep, sort of rising. I love Trent McDuffie because his skill set is really good in terms of just how much he can be like a Swiss Army knife in the defense from the cornerback position, which is a player they really haven't had since I've covered the team under Spags. Trying to think. If there's a way for them to get to the point where, and I think we can't not forget this too. Chris Jones has tweeted publicly that this man only wants to play for one team in his entire career.
Yeah.
And I find it fascinating that fans are like, well, why isn't he here? Why hasn't he signed? And I always like to try to say, I always like to try to say, like, hey man, if you enjoy your job, that's a great thing. But also, yes, get what you
know your worth.
can. Yeah, get what you can.
And he's worth $30 million. He is. He is. Like you said, all the top pass rushers coming up, they're going to get it.
They're going to get that. And so it's like, I mean, if Yannick Ngakoue's getting 10.5, my goodness. My goodness. The Colts got to be like, what? But yeah, like I get the sense Brett and Andy know how important he is. That removes Steve Spagnuolo and Joe Cullen, the defensive line coach. Like they all know how valuable he is, but it kind of comes down to ownership. And like this is the thing that like we just don't talk about it not. Is like I asked Clark Hunt on one of the first days of camp, hey man, and this blows my mind because I know my guy Matt Derrick is like, when the NFL puts out his top 100 list, like the Chiefs are going to have 3 people in the top 10.
Yeah,
like, that's nuts between Mahomes, Kelce, and Jones.
Right.
Like they are truly a superstar trio, and they're also 3 of the 10 best players in the league last season. Like that's just voted by the players. All of them are all pros. Like we all get it. None of them dudes are the highest paid player at their position. Mm-hmm. And this is a philosophy that I believe Clark Hunt has started to adapt. And I asked the question, hey, no one on the team is making the highest money at their position, even though y'all just won the Super Bowl. So already y'all managing the cap brilliantly. Yeah, you've won 2 Super Bowls in the last 4 years. And at least as of right now, no one's making like top of the line money at their position. And of course, I asked that question because I know Tyreek Hill wanted to be the highest paid receiver. And they said, that is not in our budget. That's not how that might be good for this season. It's not going to be good for 2 and 3 seasons from now.
Right.
And the owner has to come to a decision of like, here's how much money I'm willing to pay. And it's up to the general manager and the coach to make that work. I'm not saying Clark Hunt is cheap. I'm just saying that he's starting to set a precedent. If your name is not Patrick Mahomes, I have not demonstrated to you that I will give you top of the line, top of the market money or close to it. And so Chris is bumping up against that.
Yeah.
Nate, how many people on that list? Is it just Pat Mahomes?
It's right now, it's just Pat Mahomes. There's only one player on this team where I feel like they have made that distinction. And understandably so. Pat is the most talented quarterback perhaps in the history of football. He's the most talented passer in the league right now. Obviously, he's the reigning Super Bowl and league MVP. He is the 7th highest ranked quarterback right now. Or he not? No, now he's the 8th because of the Herbert deal. Burrow's going to get his money, and then there might be one more. Trevor Lawrence will succeed him.
Yes.
And so when they agreed to the deal in 2020, the word I had heard was like 2026 is probably when we're gonna have to like snip it up and redo it.
That's when the cap hit goes way up.
Way up. And of course, Clark Hunt knows that because he was part of the finance committee amongst the owners, along with Roger Goodell in the union. Clark Hunt knows everything about the TV broadcasting deals. He was very open for Amazon. Like we're gonna like Amazon wants to be here. Great. You
want to put us week 2 to open up Amazon? Let's go.
Let's go. Like he's like perfect,
baby.
Perfect. I don't know. I might be giving away something here, which is fine. But I want you all to look at this godforsaken schedule they about to play. Y'all don't understand. They're gonna play in every time zone available per the league schedule. It is mind-blowing that they're gonna start the season on Thursday night, have a second Thursday night game against the Broncos. They're gonna play on Christmas Day because they're the Chiefs. They're gonna play plenty of primetime games, whether it's Monday night, Sunday night, and they're gonna go to Germany.
2 noon games. Two.
And they're gonna go to Germany.
Is it New Year's Eve as well versus Cincinnati?
Like, this schedule is like, I don't think there's ever been a schedule like this in the team's history of the modern NFL era. So the crazy thing, they might play on Easter too. I mean, why not, right? I mean,
we are playing on New Year's Eve.
Well, on Valentine's Day, might as well throw it in there too.
Like this schedule is nuts. And so Clark understands how the money's going to go. And they might have to restructure the contract in 2025, especially if Pat leads the team to a Super Bowl either this year or next year, because it'll become just too untenable. It's like, hey, man, he can't be the 10th highest paid quarterback, leading them to like the 3rd Super Bowl in like 5 or 6 years or whatever. So it might be 2025. So everything between now and 2025 is about how do we save as much as possible. And then when Mahomes' deal gets restructured, how can we manage it as the cap sort of explodes, as they hope? Then we can be in a position to where we can be even more aggressive with free agents and trades and all that other stuff. But yeah, they're in a tight window because I think Kelce has maybe 1 to 2 years left at this caliber. I think the reason why Kelce punched those 2 guys is because I'm tired. I'm tired.
It's hot.
It's hot. Guys, I'm 33. And hey, DiCaprio Boodle, do you want to win this season? Stop. Like, just stop hitting me.
We got 8 25-year-old wide receivers over there. Just go hit one of them, please.
Yes, please. Like, I'm sorry. I'm 33, guys. Like, I need.
I'm 33.
Yeah, like he like,
doesn't want to hear that one. I'm 33. I'm 36.
Yes. Yeah, he's like, I'm 36. Like when he threw the basketball to the wall, I lost him.
I lost it. I absolutely threw the phone too. Oh man, I love RDC.
Yeah, that's class.
Yeah.
Hey,
They said James Harden going to the Nets. James, what? What? And he's like, so
speaking.
Kelce's going to be an all-pro this year probably if he stays healthy. But then again, he'll be 35, 37. At some point, it's going to have to, like, you can't be great forever. We all know this. But, yeah, Chris is going to be that guy in his 30s who's going to be, like, the most experienced player on the defense, arguably the best player for the next 1 to 2 to 3 years. And
the locker room leader as well.
Yeah. And look, Clark just might say, look, I only want a budget for 28. Like my hard line is 28, and we'll play chicken as long as you want. I don't know if that's going to happen. I can't report that as fact, but I'm just saying all of these little details along the way I've told you, it's not like the Chiefs are giving out boatloads of money because they got all these draft picks for all these young guys on rookie contracts to help support a big contract for a quarterback, a pretty nice contract for tight end, a really good contract for defensive tackle, and now he wants more money, or he's elevated himself to earn more money. And so he might just say, look, at no point when Clark Hunt answered my question did he say no or yes. He was just like, we take it on a case-by-case standpoint, and,
got real political.
I like to handle everything. My hands off,
Yeah, I mean, we love Chris, and we will welcome him when he comes back. And I was like,
okay.
I'm like, that is an accurate answer. You will welcome him when he comes back. You do love Chris Jones. Everybody knows that. And also, I didn't say no, but I also didn't say, sure, we'll pay him $30 million.
Yeah, okay.
So is there capable of Pat Mahomes of the defense? I know we recognize him as that, but in Clark Hunt's mind, is there a Pat Mahomes of the defense?
Who gives you the best?
A guy, I can't let this guy out of all the guys. I can't let this guy go.
So, to your point, Country, if you're Brett Veach, you have to make it clear to Clark Hunt, and I think Andy supports you in this, and so does Steve Spagnuolo. And I will give, Clark is one of the most respected owners in the league, so he does listen. He's not on his Jim Irsay. Like, he's not
right.
He's not doing the Jim Irsay, where it's just
he's not Jerry Jones.
Yeah,
at all.
Exactly.
Irsay trying to be Jerry Jones.
He's not like Clark Hunt is not trying to be Jerry Jones. But I think if you're Brett Veach, you say, who gives us our biggest mismatch on defense? I mean, he's destroying guards and tackles, or guards and centers. They have to double team him all the time. Or when the game's on the line in the AFC Championship game, he actually tells Carlos Dunlap, like, switch sides with me. I want him.
I want that right tackle. That backup right tackle.
Yeah, I want him.
And Carlos delivers. Delivers.
Yes. And you can tell Carlos is like, it's a third down. It's a money down. This is what I do.
I've been wide all game. I've been waiting for this moment. Please.
No. I can open another restaurant with this sack, right?
Yeah, Carlos is like, I'm a competitor too. All right, what's my assignment? All right, cool. And then Chris gets the sack, and the Bengals never touch the ball. Like, that is their biggest mismatch. So, whenever the defense does something great, or even the defensive coordinator has the right play, Pat is still the best mismatch because he can scramble, he can extend plays, he can throw the ball over your head, he can run for a first down, on a bum ankle. I mean, so if you explain it to him in that terms, I'm pretty sure Clark understands it. But yeah, at some point when you write that check, like those guaranteed dollars, you have to give that. you know. And I know they're going to make a ton of money in Germany, but I also know the team was not thrilled that they didn't play in Germany last year because they would have reaped the benefits of that a year early from a business standpoint. So,
would it have been Brady too? Last year, if they would have played, it would have been Chiefs and Bucks.
I don't think so because the Bucks are like the Bucks are also tied to the Germany market, whatever. So like
Right.
the teams like
up on it, right?
Yeah, like a few teams are like designated to each country. So like the Jags are clearly London's part of London's team. The Cardinals and the 49ers and the Chargers to a degree can have games in Mexico City, depending on how the schedule looks out. And like I think the Buccaneers, the Chiefs, and maybe the Patriots. I'd have to look this up. But like there's a couple teams that have like Germany ties. And so the Buccaneers got the benefit last year because they had Tom Brady. And they weren't sure if he was going to obviously be on the team or how his career was going to end. So it was an easy marketing strategy for the league to say like, hey, you can come watch Tom Brady and play the Seahawks. So this year they've obviously promoted the Chiefs, and that was sort of the plan. It also helps too that like 1 year you have 9 home games because the league is stupid and they have 17 games and it should be an even stupid number. Sport is silly. Again, another issue with the collective bargaining agreement. Hey, we're going to give you a 17th game, but the roster spots don't increase, and you get a little bit more money, but not a lot of money.
Right, it's not much.
And like we're gonna go to 18 games anyway.
Exactly.
So like, why don't we
at some point,
why don't we just anyway? So if you have 9 home games 1 year, you have to have 9 road games the next season. So the Chiefs, I believe, are giving up their 9th home game this season. So you also have to think about that too in the equation.
I know Chuck wants to, I'm sure, transition to a different subject, but I was just gonna say really quickly for Chris Jones, it wouldn't surprise me if there's a little bit of a compromise here where they give a little bit here, get the 30 APY, maybe the guarantees that they feel a little bit more comfortable with, and then they try to, in this 2-year window, add another ring, maybe add another 2 rings if they get ahead of themselves. And then in that 3rd year, because they can't necessarily cut them, they do all right, let's get these assets back for Chris Jones at this point, sell them at a high fee. And now we get to replenish the roster, move into the next phase, give these young guys their extensions, and now we can move on.
You might be onto something. You might be onto something. I mean, it's a possibility for sure. I also think too, Chris probably has to realize, hey, you could either be a $30 million player with less guaranteed money, or you could be a $27 million player with more guaranteed money.
Yeah.
But to get both,
it's too difficult here.
That's asking a lot because then we don't have the ability to structure the contract the way we want, to manipulate the salary cap the way we want.
Right. Yep.
So that's Chris Jones, man. All right, let's move on to the other hot guy.
Right.
Justyn Ross.
Right. Let's get to him.
Let me hear some of those famous Nate Taylor sounds.
Okay, Nate. Okay, Nate, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
If Tony does not get hurt, is he getting these same type of looks? The same reps?
Nope. God perhaps did Justyn Ross a favor. Because the only way he would have had to show this is if he came out the gates really, really well in training camp. And I'm not saying he didn't. Like he's had a really impressive camp. But guys, they know Kadarius Toney's the number 1 receiver. So him and Pat would have been just going and going and going. With Kadarius Toney healthy, he would have had to like really connect with Blaine Gabbert and had like some legit moments in the preseason. But because he's working with Pat now, the coaching staff can see it. Like they can start to imagine ways of using him, even if it's for like 3 plays against the Jacksonville Jaguars in week 2. But the fact is we see it. The talent is there. He can create sort of mismatches for us. And yeah, I just Pat knows it now. I think Pat had a lot of faith in Justyn Ross, had a lot of belief based on what he did in college. But now that he's healthy, now that they're practicing every day, Pat's just like, yeah, we got to find a way to keep him on the roster. And now all Justyn Ross has to do is just get through the preseason healthy, make a play or two. Don't put too much on tape, because once that happens, then we absolutely can't cut you from the Chiefs standpoint.
Right.
They're probably going to have to keep 7 receivers, which is wild. But it's doable. So without Kadarius Toney having his knee flare up on him, Justyn Ross would not have had this good of a camp in my eyes, because he just wouldn't have had as many reps with Mahomes.
Can you briefly? I'm sorry, Chuck. I'm sorry. Can you briefly explain why Toney can't be put on the PUP list?
Because he was on the practice field for the first full team practice. This man participated, which is crazy, because because technically this man didn't participate. Now you can argue on a technicality. Now he did watch the practice with the show, with the helmet, with the jersey. He was on the practice field, but he didn't take a single rep because he was like, "Oh no, no, like my knee is, that don't feel good." But that's the rule. Once you make one practice in training camp, can't be on the PUP list.
Crazy.
And if he's on the IR, is he done for the season, or is it like he can't go on the IR to week 1?
Yeah, so you would carry him through the initial 53, then you would put him on IR. And I think, if my memory's correct, because they sort of changed this during the COVID season, I think short-term IR is 3 weeks. So I was thinking like
3 or 4.
So week 4?
The earliest he could come back is either week 4 or week 5. I'd have to go through it myself again. And so when I was on 610 whenever the injury happened, I said, hey, the only thing that matters is October. Like, get to October, get to Halloween, and just tell me if he's healthy. And that's all that matters for the Chiefs. Because he's already going to have to go on IR. There's no need to rush him. He really matters in, the games against the Bengals in November or the Eagles or whatever. He matters more in those games for playoff seeding and then obviously getting ready for the postseason. But yeah, I think people kind of took that out of context, and maybe I didn't communicate it as well as I wanted to. But once you put that guy on IR, he's done for basically October, because he's got to get back in football shape. He's got to get back to going through practice. I tell people all the time, Andy does not take people off of IR and just play them the next week. That rarely happens. So October's cooked, guys. You really need to start focusing on post-Halloween. How does he look a few weeks getting back into the rhythm with the rest of the guys?
And that is a dumb rule.
Nate, you communicated it perfectly, by the way. We understood what you were trying to do. And look, if he's done until October, that's perfectly fine with me. Make sure he's ready for the stretch run.
And look, they said, man, this really sucks. And Andy said it after one of the practices, it's better that this actually happened now, because if it happens in the middle of the season, we have to change the entire offense. Because it's happening now, we get Rashee Rice more reps, we get Justyn Ross more reps, and Pat tells us, what do you like out of him? What routes do you want to see him run tomorrow or 2 days from now? Or when we do whatever route pattern, do you actually want those guys to switch so that you can just get a feel for what that guy does against certain defenses or certain coverages? So you just have to use the injury, unfortunately, the best you can to your advantage. And the Chiefs have, in their eyes, they feel like this is the best outcome you can have once a guy goes down, because the rookie receiver looks way better than Sky Moore did last season at this point. And Justyn Ross is a really nice option from a slot standpoint in the red zone, and from a just go run 9 routes on the outside. When we know it's going to be man-on-man coverage, and the safety's going to have trouble getting over there because Pat has one of the strongest arms in the league.
Nate, I seen earlier a tweet saying something about the Chiefs. When they look at Justyn Ross, it kind of reminds them of Josh Gordon. What you think about that?
Man, Josh Gordon in 2013 was like a superhuman. I mean, I don't know if it'll ever get to I don't know if it'll ever get to that.
No, Josh Gordon with the Chiefs.
No,
chill out, man.
Nah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, look.
What happened to that tweet?
No, I'm saying how we had the hopes we had for.
Okay. The potential. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I got
Josh
you.
was
I
a
got
lot older when he got here, though, man. This is completely different.
No, he talking about the potential of what he could have been. I think.
Oh, that. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Signing him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying now.
I mean, yeah.
He could have said Kelvin Benjamin though. But.
I was gonna say, never forget 2018. They were like, "Hey, Kelvin, come run some routes."
No.
and then it was like.
Oh my God! What a throwback.
I mean, that's how crazy the league moves, man. It goes at such a fast speed. We're like, man, Kelvin Benjamin was nice 2 years ago, and now, you just, and I mean, this guy, and then you're like, this guy's going to win the MVP, right? I mean, he's got 40-something touchdowns, and
yeah, man, Kelvin, man. After his grandma passed away, I mean, that's when he couldn't shake back right, and that affected on the rest of his career.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys are. I mean, these guys are real, human beings. They obviously have a lot of emotions. Yeah, man, it's just tough. It's just tough. But no, I think Ross could be something. The way people felt, I mean, I saw it every day, so I had a little bit of a different vantage point than most fans, which is fine. But I truly believed in my heart that Jody Fortson was a legitimate NFL player. And then when you saw it these last 2 seasons in these spurts, you're just like, man, like that's something. And I kind of have the same feeling. I'm not as fervent on Jody Fortson levels yet. Because I mean, like, it was funny. I was sitting next to Nick Jacobs yesterday when I was writing about Justyn Ross, and I just like, you know what? Let me get on the YouTube. Let me see what these highlights were in 2018. Oh my God! It's like him and Trevor Lawrence were absolutely awesome. And it's just you just see the highlights and you're like, my
He's
God.
Like prime Julio Jones at Clemson. It's just like, oh my
God. And like DBs. I mean, like, dude.
Well, in college, yes. Like
that freshman, like doing that as a freshman to Alabama was nasty. I mean, just so like I went back, I watched all these highlights. I'm like, this is not helping my story. I just want to go back and look at them, but I'm just like, my goodness, man. So I know he's a talented player. It was fun for Jody Fortson because he was a Division II player. He was changing positions. It looked like it wasn't going to work out. And in my mind, I was like, that dude's an NFL player. He just needs to make the roster. And so once you make the roster, the cool and Justyn Ross said this yesterday. The cool thing about making the roster is Andy's going to use you. And so there's no issue for Justyn Ross on like, man, I made the team, and all of a sudden it's like week 4, and I don't really see where my role is, or I don't really see like how I'm gonna get on the field and have success. Or like the coaches will have forgotten about me because I'm the 6th receiver. Like Andy's like, hey, don't you worry, we'll figure something out. Like we'll use anybody and everybody. So for Ross, the motivation for him is really easy, and the talent is clearly there. It's just, hey, can you stay healthy? Because I've never played football with a previous neck condition or a broken foot, and he's come back from both of those things and looked like really, really good for having never played an NFL game before.
Let me ask you this, Nate.
Okay.
So like the hype with Justyn Ross. I mean, you saw the tweets from T. Higgins, his college teammate, giving him the stamp of approval. You saw Michael Parsons do the same thing, giving him stamp of approval. Now, if he does have a great preseason, right? Because that's what I want to see. I want to see how he looks in preseason. Now, I want to see if he can make plays in a real live action game. Now, if he does have a great preseason and all that, I mean, where do you see him landing on the wide receiver depth chart at the end of the day? Because, I mean, it's looking like MVS is locked. Sky is locked in this spot. Justin Watson, it looked like he's locked in his spot on the team, whatever it is. So, I mean, where do you see him landing?
I just want to paint a picture. What if it's the first preseason game against the Saints? And I believe he's still on the roster because I asked somebody this a couple days ago. But what if it's Justyn Ross and Dan Sorensen in a one-on-one in the second quarter?
Oh, Nate, stop it, man.
I have an ethereal experience.
No, I gotta paint a picture. What if Justyn Ross is running a deep over route and Dan Soros is in the picture, or perhaps not in the picture? I don't know.
Then Tyrann Mathieu gonna be doing like this.
Sure, like
you gonna see a picture of Tyrann Mathieu like this.
No.
Shout out to the Badger.
We're gonna revisit that all over again.
Dan Soros is gonna have his face mask in the dirt, just like what happened? When did this 6'4" man just glide by me with the ball?
So
shout out to Dirty Dan, man.
To answer your question, Chuck, I think he would be like wide receiver 5, in my opinion. With Kadarius Toney on IR, right? So Kadarius Toney has been put on IR, and I think Justyn Ross could be the 5th receiver that dresses on game day, because if he does well in the preseason on special teams, then obviously Dave Towe can trust him as a gunner or as somebody on kickoff coverage, because he usually uses receivers on coverage versus like return, unless you're actually the returner. Mm-hmm. And then obviously as a 5th receiver, you can kind of go in for a few plays. You could give somebody a spell, or hey, we have this specific package for like red zone or short yardage or whatever. Because I think Justin Watson will kind of be the tweener. Like some games he might be up, some games he might be down. Because again, they already know what Justin Watson can do. Like Justin Watson is a quality NFL receiver. But if we want to build the confidence of Justyn Ross, you might want to start him early and give him the whole season to sort of develop, because he has a better chance of being on the roster next year than Justin Watson does, in my opinion. But that's where like the numbers get a little bit tricky. I think Sky Moore and Richie James are your slot receivers. MVS is your guy stretching the field out wide. Justin Watson can be the extra perimeter receiver as well, or the additional one. And then Sky can kind of float back and forth whether they want to go to 13 personnel or 12 personnel. So it's that would be my like, hey, if he plays well in the preseason and he's not a, can I curse on here?
Yeah.
If he's not a if he plays well in the preseason and he's not a fuck up on special teams, then let's dress him for opening night, okay? And you tell Justin Watson, like, we love you, obviously. If something happens, we're definitely going to need you at some point in the season. But, like, hey, man, this kid worked from the end of from the beginning of last season all the way from now. Let's give him his NFL moment. We're going to play. I'm sorry. That's why I asked. I rarely do it.
You're good.
I rarely do it,
You're
but, like,
good, man.
I'm not going to go, like, by the way, a quick side note. If you watch the press conferences with Dave Merritt, the secondary coach, he'll say, those MEs, those mental errors. And I'm like, I know what you're saying, coach. He's not mentally fucked up. You're doing a PG-13 version of MEs. We can't have as many MEs this week. And it's like mental errors. It's like, that's right, Nate. That's right. And it's like, you mean he fucking forgot the assignment? That's what you mean? Like, it's okay. Like, we're all human. Like, we all mess up. But I just love Dave Merritt because he's just like, your eye leverage, your MEs can't your pre-snap. What's the down and distance? Can't have those errors. Can't have those issues. And I can't imagine what it was like last year when he's like, I got 5 of these rookies. My God. It's like, I got 5 of these dudes.
Crazy. Hey, Nate.
A secular podcast. Don't worry about it.
Hey, Nate, what's the other kid's name? Nico
Remigio.
Yeah.
Is he kind of pushing Watson a little bit for that last spot?
No.
Not at all.
I just want, I tweeted about it. I do want to see him more on the twos, but Shane Buechele got to throw to somebody.
Oh, okay.
So they're like, Shane's like, 1, 2, where is he? Like, and he throws it. But
Nate, that's how I feel like Justyn Watson got on the roster, because Shane Buechele was throwing to him. It was like, hey, make sure you throw it to him.
Yes.
Okay.
So I like Remigio as a player. Obviously, it's a stat. It's a stacked sort of position. Dave Towe says that maybe Remigio makes the roster as like a punt returner, a kickoff returner. Like, let's say if something happens to Deneric Prince, then maybe Remigio would have a chance. But that gets a little tricky too, because you go from 4 running backs to 3.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. If Remigio has like a great punt return, just
shake
his hand and say,
"Yeah, we're gonna lose you on waivers." I'm sorry.
You had a great camp. Sir. Like,
Hey, Nate, we don't do mystery foot injuries no more. We don't do that no more.
Hey, Byron, sniper, man. Sniper got you, dog. Like say, hey, man, hey, sniper. Like, I don't know where he was. I don't know what happened, but your hamstring is pulled. Okay, and we're shutting you down the whole season. Hey, Matt Bushman. Hey, I think Matt Bushman's injury was actually legitimate last year because I saw him in a sling and I was like, oh, that football violent. Yeah, that's right. But I remember, like, Matt Bushman played really well. He was cooking the Packers or whoever they were.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he was.
Yes, and sometimes you got to tell the other team, like, hey, man, if you're not an NFL player, hey, you're in a jersey. You're on the field. Like, we're watching. Like, you made it, dog. Like, you made it. Don't injure the guy that's been cooking you for 2 quarters. Like, why? For who? You not making the roster?
I think there's a touchdown at that, man.
Yes.
It's unnecessary. He had the ball.
Yes, yeah. And, it's wild. It's wild because, what they could do last year is what they could do this year. Hey, Blake Bell, love you. Appreciate you. Can I have your phone for the next 24 hours? I'm going to tell you that we're going to cut you, and we're going to bring you right back, and then we're going to put Kadarius down or whoever else needs to go to IR. Tell your agent, I want him answering no calls. Do you want to win a Super Bowl this year? Do you want to win? Don't answer the phone, So they might have done that last year if Bushman doesn't get hurt, because it's just like there's too much tape. But Bushman had a legitimate injury. I can't remember who the defender was.
He gone,
but they drove him. They drove him into the ground, and I was just like,
"But no,
that is not cool, man."
Oh, it was a reason. It was a reason they was getting cooked. Shane
Bouchel had a great run last year because he had Justin Watson and Matt Bushman, and they were just
cooking. Just like,
down the field, baby.
One, two.
Yeah. And so Bushman's had a good camp. I'm eager to see what he looks like in the preseason now. But you could either tell Austin Ryder or Blake Bell, we love you. You know the system. You don't want to learn another playbook. See you on Tuesday.
Yeah. So like, my thing is this, man. I want to go back to Nico real quick. That's the one thing I am scared about, dog, because I feel like he's gonna do so well in the preseason where he's not gonna be able to clear waivers, and we won't have him on the practice squad at least.
Hey, Ryan Poles will be watching, guys.
Yeah,
he will watch. And if Ryan Poles ain't watching, you best believe Eric Bieniemy's watching.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Like, they have no chance this year of getting guys to clear
at all.
No chance, none. And
EB is wait, dog.
EB is like, how many can I bring?
All the
EB set the tone already. He set the tone already in Washington. Like, he brings some guys that know the system to get the other guys acclimated. And Washington's practices look pretty good. What I saw.
Yeah, like the best part is, hey man, if it doesn't work out here, Ryan Poles will give you a call, or Eric Bieniemy and Ron Rivera, or Doug Peterson. And you'll be fine.
We got Chiefs North, we got Chiefs East, we got Chiefs South. One of those three will be I promise.
You'll be fine, young man. It's just crazy.
Is there a way to move a guy though? Could you say, could I move a Jody Fortson in Washington?
Oh, you like in a trade? I mean, you could. I mean, I hadn't thought about that. That's a great question. You can always make a deal right before the deadline. Yeah, you could. I mean, because we all saw, who was it in 2019 that they were like, this ain't it, and they traded as a running back, Carlos Hyde. Poor Carlos Hyde.
Oh my God.
Hey, now I'm gonna sound like Stephen A. Carlos Hyde, lovely man, answered all your questions, a true professional. He fumbled one time in the preseason, and it was a wrap. It was a wrap. Bieniemy was like, really? You're gonna fumble in a preseason game, and we got other options? Yeah, man. Like this. Let's send you to Houston, get you restarted. And I think he had a pretty good year in Houston.
One man.
He had a good game against us.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, like sometimes this happens where, you know, Jody hasn't. I mean, again, based on the podcast, body of work, time spent, love Jody Fortson. But yeah, I mean, the sport is really cruel. He has a shoulder injury. He hasn't been in any of these padded practices, or he was in the first padded practice, got hurt, hadn't been back. So if he's not available for like the first 2 preseason games, but you know another team might need another tight end, you could say, hey, he'll be ready for you in mid-September. You know, his diagnosis is, you know, whatever. Another trick you could do is an injury settlement, where you just say, hey, we're going to cut you a check. It'll be through this date, which is when we think you'll be healthy. And then you'll be a free agent at that point. But we can bring you back on the roster when that settlement is basically agreed upon. But the trick there is the player has to be willing to come back, because they could be, obviously their services could be available for all the other teams. So you rarely do the injury settlement. But I know guys like Derek Dieter, you know, look, guys, look, guys, look.
Jesus,
I love it,
man. Quiet.
They're not gonna let him slide, man. It's 1 year. Y'all can do it. I promise. It's 1 more year. Y'all can do it, man.
Guys, look. It's a long season. Y'all trying to play 20 games. You need 4 running backs.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He knows the system. Guys are good with him. It's not like he's. It's so weird last year. He can't like.
He did so well in the red zone.
Yes, and he had a very good start. He had a very good September. Had started having the wear and tear come, and then unfortunately he had the ankle injury in November. Also, this reminds you how athletes, even world-class athletes, are built differently. I saw Clyde. I think I've said this before. I saw Clyde in a boot after they won.
He been gone, Trey.
After they won the game to beat the Chargers. They were on the road. He gets hurt. Pacheco has 100 yards. That's not great. Pat leads him on a game-winning drive in the last 2 minutes. Everybody's like super, like everybody's excited, jubilant. Obviously, like they just beat their rival again. And Clyde walked out of the trainer's room with a walking boot, and I said, "There goes the season. Like there it goes." And so his high ankle sprain was worse than Patrick's, to my understanding, but they basically had the same injury, and he was in a walking boot when the game was over. And Pat perhaps had a similar, if not as painful, injury, and played in the second half and led them to a Super Bowl victory. But Clyde is well liked on the team, and maybe I should say that more so that people hear it. But like
he needs somebody on his side, Nate. He needs somebody.
I mean, Clyde is really well liked on the roster. I'm not making like he's really well liked, and everybody knows he's skilled. It's never been an issue of skill, never been an issue of want to. It's just playing the running back position at that with those dimensions, with guys who hit you, who are even bigger and stronger than you. It's very difficult. So he's only lasted a full season once, and that was his rookie year. So he might be trending towards being a really valuable third down back. So that's where his career might be headed. But there's no need to trade Clyde unless you get something where you're like, whoa, you want what for, unless somebody blows the doors off of you, blows the socks off of you. No, there's no reason to trade Clyde, in my opinion.
Right, because I just want them to continue to save McKinnon for the back end of the schedule like we've been doing, and then also like
wasn't it excellent last year? It was chef kiss.
Beautiful.
It was masterful how Bieniemy, Reed, Matt Nagy, the first half of the year they used McKinnon only as a pass blocker, so that there was no tape of how they would use him as a receiver. And then he scored a bajillion touchdowns in the second half of the season.
All of them.
Yeah.
All the touchdowns.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brilliant job by them.
Country.
Nate,
Country, between you and me, Jerry McKinnon is 57 years old, so they need to just be able to save him till the back half of the schedule and allow CEH to take the punishment early on.
That's what happened last year.
Nate, who else has made you look up from your notes at camp this year?
Nick Jones, guys. Nick Jones. I'm giving it away here, but on Time SARS, Josh. I love my guy.
Shout out to Seth. What's up, Seth?
Shout out to Seth Kaiser as well. But Josh was like, okay, we're doing the sounds, making the noises, and he was like, not, he went through the list, not Trent McDuffie, not L'Jarius Sneed, not Jalen Watson, not Joshua Williams, and I gave him. That was Nick Jones. I mean, Nick Jones has had a really nice camp. I think DiCaprio Bootle has the attitude of a star DB. I don't think it's ever gonna come to fruition. Like,
I love the attitude.
But you love the attitude. I mean, you love the coach said I gotta punch the ball out every time, and it's just like, come on, bro. Like, it's so hot. But like, Nick Jones look nice. Mike Edwards looks like a veteran who is really learning the system. And what I mean by that is Spags is not taking it easy on him. Like, this safety role, now you go to that safety role. Now you're the third safety in dime. And it's just, it looks like a lot is moving from Mike Edwards. Yes. But it's funny reading the comments as I talk, because I'm like, fair. I mean, that's fair. I mean, that's accurate. Again, I love the attitude. But also, guarding MVS is hard, man. Like, don't know what you want me to say. But no, I think Nick Jones is going to be someone to watch in the preseason, just because teams are going to throw the ball, still have a lot of opportunities. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, Najee is a really. I mean, I don't know if people watched the franchise. I guess it came out yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah, I obviously I know people on the video department. They do really good work from, obviously the team's perspective, and just seeing what Najee meant to the guys on video, and then obviously talking to them after the injury. Yeah, it sucks. And it also sucks that like his injury happened when like no one could see it because they were indoors. But yeah, that was grim. Keandre Colburn, just get the playbook. Just let me see and simulate to November. Like he'll be fine. I'm not saying he's doing bad. I'm just saying like it's also tough when the team is like, he could be our next Colin Saunders. And I'm like, no, he can't. He literally can't. I've never seen a human being of that size have that much athletic ability in my life. That's why he got paid as much money by the Saints.
Yep.
Did you see him chase Jalen Hurts? Keandre Colburn's not doing that. And honestly, I don't want him to do it. Like, no. So it's just going to take him a lot of time to develop. Maybe he surprises early in the season, but he'll be in the rotation. He'll be fine. Trying to think who else. Obviously, Bush.
What about Rashee Rice?
Oh, Rashee Rice he's good, guys. I don't have to. Chiefs fans do not have to worry about Rashee Rice. The only issue is he had a foot injury last year at SMU, and so. But I mean, in terms of physicality, catches everything, strong. He's probably gonna get better at running routes once he really understands the system, understands what Pat wants. He's your new jet sweep guy. I thought that was fascinating too. Like, training camp was supposed to be this time where Kadarius Toney would do orbit motion, jet sweep motion, end arounds, like all this like tricky stuff, because he's just, again, he's just an incredible jitterbug in that manner. So I thought he'd be the one doing a lot of that motion stuff. Instead, it's been a little bit of Sky, and they've really tested like, hey, what can Rashee Rice do on an end around, on a reverse, on a jet sweep? So I don't have any. From people in the organization, I think it was like the second or third day of camp, and they were like, "Oh, he's confident and like he knows he can play at this level," and you go, "Okay, like that's you don't hear that all the time, Camp can move kind of fast for guys." Rashee Rice threw up on the first day of practice, and has literally been good ever since.
Yeah. He even flexed. Like, nah, I haven't done no sense.
Yeah, like he's been really good. Like, it tells you how difficult it is for certain people because Sky, you could see the talent last year, but you're like, man, this is a lot. And all those receivers were learning the offense, so they couldn't spend as much time with Sky like they can with Rashid now. And this year, it's just like, man,
are those two more guys that benefit off Tony going down?
Oh, I think Sky's reps are pretty much the same. And I think Sky looks way more confident. And you could tell he's trained for football now. It was very clear to him. I think he would tell you the truth. It was very clear last offseason coming into the draft. That 40 time mattered to him because his tape was really good. And the issue that I think he had coming into the draft was, is he fast? Is he NFL fast enough? Because they didn't play a ton of teams in Western Michigan where you could tell, like, hey, we have him against, Galt. We have him against Sauce. We have him against so-and-so. Like, he didn't play anybody like Trent McDuffie in college, but he was just a route runner who made a lot of catches and was just a really reliable guy on third down. And now it's like you can tell he's trained his body for football, not for a 4-4 or a 4-3. And when you do that and you have the routes and you spend time with Patrick in the offseason and you go through the whole offseason program with the OTAs and mandatory mini camps, you're just a more complete version of what the team believes you can be. And so he's done everything to have a nice second season. And yeah, I mean, I just think he's more self-assured this time than last year when he was like, wow, I'm really in the NFL, and wow, I'm really catching passes from Patrick Mahomes, and like, yo, like, this is a playbook. And it's like, yeah, man, like, it's going to take a lot of time for you to develop that chemistry.
Is he sort of footing into, is he trying to be the man? I know Tony's supposed to be that guy, but
yeah, Tony's supposed to be the guy that gets 1,000 yards. I don't know if that's possible now with Tony's injury, unfortunately for him. I don't know. I'm not suggesting Chiefs fans should expect 1,000 yards from Sky Moore. Like, give him the grace to show you who he is in year 2. But the player I think who could actually benefit most in the receiving room is actually MVS.
Yeah, he's the best.
Because there were so many. I'm going to write about this when we get closer to the season. There were so many moments where Patrick missed MVS downfield.
Yeah.
Oh, and the first couple of weeks was bad.
And this year, I'm really focused on if they unlock that part of the offense, then what?
Different level.
Let's say Pacheco is basically the same player. You still got Travis Kelce. You got the scheme with Patrick, Andy, and Matt Nagy. And now MVS is catching 50-yard bombs at least once a game.
Yeah, and you got Sky and Richie underneath, and you're adding Rasheed and Justyn Ross to sprinkle in there. Receivers, that's a lot to work with.
D-Mac, he looked like Tyreek Hill out there, man. That's all.
According to one Bengals player, yeah.
Jermaine Pratt on the sideline. That's his new Tyreek.
He's always going to him, guys. It's Marcus Kemp out there. Hey, did we see Marcus Kemp on tape last week? No, we didn't. Cover this man.
Is he only out there because we decided to steal Chris Lamage? Yes, but we need to cover him.
Yes. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah. That's definitely one of the things I'm looking forward to for this offense. Like, Patrick and MVS have that deep ball chemistry now.
Yes.
Are they on?
It was close.
That's one of the things I'm looking
It was
forward
close.
It just tick off. That was a tick off, man.
Yeah, right. So it got better as the season went along, but man, if they, because there are times where MVS is like 5 yards past somebody, and Patrick, to his credit, was like kind of underthrew him a couple times.
The San Francisco won the bomb. He was like 5 yards of separation, but Mahomes still left a little short. He had to
Yeah, he was like, I wanted to make. He's like, there were times where I wanted to make him use his long frame to make sure he caught the ball, but then there were some times where I was like, oh, I need to just air it out, and then I would overthrow it, and you'd be like, like, wow, we just wasted a whole week to not get a completion.
That's how competitive Pat is, because Pat never stopped. He kept going to him. Like, he was like, we're going to get it right.
Yeah, right.
And it came together at the perfect time. It came together when it had to come together, but
right.
Pat don't have no quit in his system. That's what damn shit.
Never forget, Marcus Kemp was on a beach somewhere in Hawaii, got a call. It was like, you ready to run it back? And he was like, not only will I catch a pass in the AFC Championship game, I will destroy half the Eagles' special teams to get Kadarius Toney downfield. And he was so happy after the Super Bowl, because it's like, yeah, man, you ain't got to play another down in your life. You are a legend. Based on 2 games, you are a legend.
Two plays. Just two plays.
Just 2 plays. Yeah, like I caught a reception for a first down in the AFC Championship game when we literally had no one. And
nobody.
Kadarius Toney was like, I'm trying to get to the edge. And I said, say no more. He's going down. He's going down. He's going down. And I'm gonna fall on him. Like, it's incredible. Like,
my life depends on this play, Nate.
Yes, like, people don't take to account like how brilliant the punt return is for not just Kadarius Toney, because you can just see that talent. You're like, why is everybody slipping on the field? But yet this man is just gliding over people. But also, like, I mean, Jody Fortson is blocking like his life's on the line, and Marcus Kemp took out like 4 dudes. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah, I do want to get to like some of the questions in the comments, because there was a good question in the chat here. So like, they was asked about indoor practices whenever the Chiefs had to have indoor practices due to rain. Are those actually more intense than the ones you see outside?
Yes. Because they know nobody's watching.
Like, oh, okay.
They know nobody's watching, and to simulate, coach is like, all right, so
we can get to the real stuff.
Let's get to these real quick. All right, guys. 5 reps each. First team, second team, third team. All right, let's see it. And then the horn goes, and they just go, and it's tackle, it's to the ground. Again, no one saw this last year, but we thought Juju almost died because I can't remember who tackled him, but like the indoor doesn't have as much space on the boundary, right? So once you get to the sideline, there's not a ton of room. But like, dudes were competing hard, got a little rough. I'm just saying, Juju went through an entry door in the indoor facility.
Hey, yo.
And people are like, what is happening?
They turned it into NFL Street?
Dog. Who was Street Blitz?
I can't remember who it was. It wasn't one of the main guys. It wasn't Justyn Ross, or excuse me, it wasn't Justin Reed. It wasn't like, I don't think it was Cook. I can't remember who it was. I will try to find this answer, and I'll talk to some of the other writers like Adam Teicher, Matt Derrick. Obviously, Herbie Teopa was with us last year, but he's retired. Shout out to him.
Herbie!
Herbie's taking people's money on gambling tables legally. It's an atrocity, in my opinion. Because he's like, hey, man, why are you so good at poker? And also, he's an Army veteran, so I can't really. No, you should not. You should not try that, man.
At all, please.
My guy Pete Sweeney, but like, there's like a group of us that get to still go in and see it all. But yeah, Juju went flying through a door, and for like maybe 10 seconds, everybody on the team was like, "Is he okay?" And then he like gingerly kind of like.
Yo,
that is hilarious. That is hilarious.
That is crazy.
And it's great because coach doesn't have to say anything. It's not like the coaches are like, "What are you doing?" It's just like, "All right, next rep," and everybody just knows, like, "Please don't do that again."
It's like it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's been years where like you see guys on the threes, right, really competing, really trying to do something because they know like this is the most intense like we're doing stuff that like we might actually use against the Detroit Lions, or whoever the first opponent is. And man, diving for a ball, and look, that wall is, you try to run full speed and that wall's there. Like, hey, if it's in the corner of the end zone, God bless you, because there's a corner and that wall don't give, y'all. I mean, Missouri Western has nice facilities, but it's a Division II indoor practice. There's just not a lot of room. So you see guys bumping against the wall all the time. But no, those indoor practices are legit because they do a lot of double moves. I mean, I'm not going to describe the play in full, even though with my own eyes I can remember these plays. But last year they would do. All right, I'll just say it. Last year, do you guys remember the play against the Cardinals where it's play action? Pat looks, I believe, to the right so that the linebacker shades that direction, and then Kelce's running the deep over.
Yeah, I remember that play. Yeah,
that was a touchdown. That was a touchdown, right?
That was the touchdown. That was the deep. That was like the deep play in the middle of the field.
Was that the really tight window throw?
Yes.
I love that throw. Yes, it was beautiful.
That's the kind of plays they be doing in the indoor. Okay, so like, hey, set this route. What's the leverage? Cut it back inside. How tight is the window? All right, let's run it again. And so there's certain things that like, it's like the advanced level stuff that they get to in the indoor, and then of course. On this past one, the Saturday when we were inside, Spags was just lighting it up. Set a match off, like, who wants to come, And Pat got frustrated because it's just like, hey.
You under the gun now. I'm sending everybody.
we either didn't protect it or you were supposed to get open and you didn't, and I'm scrambling. Now, of course, nobody can hit the quarterback. But Pat doesn't like necessarily scrambling in a training camp practice because he just wants to get as many throws off as possible. But yeah, Spags was just like, all right, Nick, all right, Willie, there's Jay Reed, all of them go now. And it's just like, it's just amazing because it's just really, it's like, okay, this is good. Like, this is really good and nobody can see this. And like, as reporters, based on the rules between, the Pro Football Writers Union and the teams, it's like if you have one of those type of practices where it's not public, can't really give out details unless it's a year later. And I can tell you that tight throw that he made, they were practicing that in training camp. And Kelce ran the route perfectly. Mahomes hit his landmark perfect on the play action, and the ball was out. And it's just one of those things where you're like, man, the Cardinals had no shot on that play. None. It's like, hey guys, is that cover 3? Is that cover 2? Oh, quarters. Isn't that nice? And it's just like, it's crazy, man. So sometimes you see things in the indoor and you're like, oh, that's the real depth chart. Oh, that's what he's going to be doing in the middle of September, And there's some stuff in a public practice where they asked Richie James to throw a deep ball to MVS. And it's like,
or MVS threw the deep ball to him.
That's for the Detroit Lions. We would like the Lions to see this. Just hey, get your rules right in the back end in case. Like please, like everybody, disseminate this. Yes. Richie James can throw the ball deep. We just want to make you aware of that. But there's other stuff where there's other stuff where they just hold it because they might use it in the game.
Sure. Are you buying that we have the best tackle duo we've had?
It's crazy that we've been talking this long and like those guys just haven't been brought up because they've been pretty good. I mean, nothing flashy. I think Donovan looks healthy this year. That's the biggest thing. Like Donovan Smith looks healthy. They put him on these sweeps, on these tosses, and he gets out there in space, and it's just like, okay, like that looks like how it used to look like in Tampa Bay. Jawan Taylor is just, rock solid. I'm not saying he's going to be Joe Thuney because I call Joe Thuney a robot. He's just, his technique is insanely precise. But Jawan Taylor might just be really consistent. And it looks like, Trey Smith is growing confidence in them working together, especially when they do those stunt drills where they say, hey, we're going to have these guys rush. They know it's a passing situation, so you got to protect it. So they're going to They're going to do different type of twists or maybe simulate it one way and then spin off of it. And they started to pick that up pretty well. But if the offensive line plays well, as we all know, yeah, they probably have about 4 versions of Snow Globe. I just saw this. They probably have about 4 versions of it. Because I was stunned.
Don't say that, Nate, man.
I'm telling the truth. Like they probably have 4. They probably have 4 versions of that play where, and I don't know if we'll ever see it. But I was surprised that Patrick said that they had been tinkering it all season in the Netflix documentary, because it was like the way Pat explained it is like it's a combination of actually 2 plays. So that tells you that like the personnel grouping is, I believe, intact with Tony, McKinnon, Watson. So like the personnel group is still intact. So you can still run.
He has the 6th guy.
Yeah, you can still run some of that stuff the same way you did a year ago. But yeah, there's like there's some stuff that Pat can do off of those type of plays. That's more than just a pitch to McKinnon, who then throws it to, Kadarius Toney. Like some of those plays include Pat throwing the ball is what I'm ultimately getting at.
So for that, I mean, just if you had to guess, which team do you think that Andy and Pat want to use that against to like drive that knife home? Because I think it was specifically for
yes,
right,
yes.
Which team? Because I have a few in mind that it could be used against. Yes. I think you could use it to piss off Sean Payton. I think you could use it against the Eagles since they've been chirping so much, or the Bengals. So
I think the Bengals will get some fury.
Okay.
Like if everybody, like again, it's a long time between then and now. But like if most of the guys are healthy, if the offense is humming, I think the Bengals might see some things. Just because, and Andy's really systematic about this, you want to show stuff so that they have to
game plan for it
and account for the possibility that, again, there's a variation off of it or there's a wrinkle attached to it. Or if we see you all again in the postseason. Mm-hmm. I think it was pretty specific. I don't know if they would ever say it publicly, but the reason why Patrick says in the Netflix doc that he felt they matched up better against the Bills was because the defense that the Chiefs were playing in that first game against the Bills was pretty ordinary. And I think what Pat was getting at was that Spags had specific things that he could have done in a rematch against the Bills. And there are certain things that they did with Travis Kelce in the first game that they would have done differently against the Bills.
Wait a minute, Nate. Are you saying they purposely played vanilla football
to a certain degree, yes. Yes. You wanna win the game, and people will forget this. There's a drop. I can't remember who the drop is. There's a drop in like they're in the red zone and they have to settle for a field goal. I can't remember who dropped it. I don't know if it was MVS or
I think it was MVS.
Yeah, there's an MVS drop, and then there's the play that I think Pat probably hates himself the most for is on the first drive. They're going down the field. They're in the red zone, and he throws up a 50-50 ball to MVS in the corner of the end zone, and it gets intercepted.
Mm-hmm.
So you could say that they could have scored 2 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah,
with again a very vanilla, rudimentary. And again, you have to take into account like they had so many new guys last year that it almost forced them to do that to a certain degree, so that you obviously are going to build as the season goes along. Like you talk to guys like Mitchell Schwartz, and they're like, "Yeah, we did the Rose Bowl every Friday in practice, never thinking we were going to run it." And then Andy called it in the first half of the Super Bowl. Like, yo, what are we doing? So there's a method to all of this madness, even if you can't necessarily see it early on in the season. But I think part of that was because they had to do some things differently because there were so many young guys. You have to remember that Kadarius Toney wasn't on the roster in that first game against the Bills. Kadarius Toney did not play against the Bengals in the first game, so they knew that they had some things they could do with him that were slightly different. And so you just try to take the scenario to win that day, but not give everything. Because on the defensive end, they put Chris Jones in some very interesting fronts that said, "You the man, you the matchup. He's going right through you." Or if you want to shade that way, we've set it up all year so that you think you guys can block Frank Clark one-on-one, and we think in Arrowhead to go to the Super Bowl, he will win some of those one-on-ones.
And he did.
And he did.
And George Columbus is a little bit better now, and so it helps a little bit.
Yep. And so it's funny, like the Bengals know, hey, just because we beat the Chiefs in November, it's a lot different than doing that in January, because Spags will go from blitzing to, invert coverages where guys are moving pre-snap, and they fooled Joe Burrow on the first drive. It's just, I believe McDuffie didn't actually catch the interception.
He almost had it.
He almost had it. But they actually fooled him, because Burrow's thinking Burrow thinks his rules are to the outside, and actually they broke those rules, and now he's more in the middle of the field. So there's like, the Bengals know this stuff. Like, they know that things are going to change, just like the Chiefs know that the Bengals are going to do a lot of different things too. But yeah, a lot of that first game, when you might play him in the second time, it's just going to set something up for something even better the second time, and that's about who can actually execute, who can out-scheme one another.
Yeah. And like, and real quick, so like the reason why, certain matchups, within the AFC, they may play a little vanilla in certain situations, is because you may see them again in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. In a couple of weeks.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I don't have to mention the Colts game. I mean, that Colts game.
Oh God.
Boo.
That's college game.
And we still were Kelce. They dropped touchdown away from being able to win that game.
Or Chris Jones.
Or whatever in the world.
Chris
Jones must have said every foul word in the book. Or
look.
Issues.
Look, I've asked multiple guys. No one has told me what he said. That's the one thing I can't
They haven't leaked it yet. Like an anonymous source, never.
I've never seen it, and again, I've asked multiple guys, and they're just like,
maybe that's what the contract waiting on.
That's crazy.
Maybe that's what the contract waiting on. He got to reveal what he said in order to get this. Clark said, "I ain't giving you no contract till you told me what cost me to coast again."
Yeah, I mean, that's Matt Ryan's last great moment, guys.
Oh yeah.
Matt Ryan goading Chris Jones into a penalty and then leading the team right down the field for a game.
That was, man, right. I hate man.
Woods, man.
It's so like a coach.
Jelani Woods scored 2 touchdowns on this.
Yeah.
And Nate, so
got him drafted in a few fantasy leagues.
We've seen a lot of things, Nate, from Patrick Mahomes. There's one thing we have yet to see
in a game:
the behind the back pass. Is this the year? It seems like he's gotten better at it. Like it's deadly now. Like it's accurate. He can throw for distance now. Are we gonna see it?
I don't think so.
Look at Nate like the Godfather.
I really don't, man. I don't see it. Like of course we'd all want to see it, but how many points they got to be up by?
4 touchdowns.
It got to be a lot because
in the fourth quarter,
and it would have to be really petty, like so petty that do you guys remember when they went to? I will never forget this game when they went to Chicago on that Sunday.
Oh my God!
Oh yes.
Yeah. The pettiness. Pettiness.
It's got to be on like that level.
He was trying to put it on them.
Oh, he was trying to score. They were like, "Hey man." Again, we got to save some stuff. He was like, no, another touchdown. And they're like,
they passed me up, dog. So
he's like,
I got to let them know.
Hey, man, we can't play the Bears in the postseason. Like, we just, no.
Yeah.
He was like, more. I want more.
His intensity in the Bucs game was it wasn't as petty. It was more intense in that Bucs game when the last time they played Tom Brady.
Yes.
Yeah. I've never seen that before, but he was very, very petty.
Yeah.
In Bears.
So it's going to have to be on like that level. And even then, my thing is, I've always wondered,
Are the Broncos petty enough to get it?
No,
Broncos kind of talking was
they're not on the Chiefs level though. That's the thing. Like the Broncos are in such I think the Chiefs actually care more about the Raiders and the Chargers now than the Broncos, and that's a wild statement considering where when Andy came aboard, like they were the team that they were obviously going to have to like go chase down. My thought is
that's a good one. Miami is a good one.
For the international crowd.
That's a good one. Welcome to ain't nobody but Jody. I know that's you, Jody. I know that's you.
I mean, it's not a bad guess. All right.
It's not a bad guess at all.
I'm not. Here's where my brain goes. Again, I want to make this clear. I have not seen this at practice, indoor or outdoor. No one has told me this. But I think the easiest way to do it is kind of an addition to corn dog, where you have a guy coming in motion. In the way Sky did it, I thought was interesting. Sky never like ran and then turned the other way. Sky like basically put his whole body. He was like, "I'm here. Please give me the ball. I'm wide open." Like he just stopped running the routes. He's like, "Oh my God, I'm wide open. I'm so wide open. Please, Lord." Like if you watch the tape closely enough, the dude stops running his route because he's like, "Oh my God,
I am wide open.
I am so wide open that I
said it on Kingdom 2. He was just like, I just catch, or on the franchise.
Please catch the ball.
Don't drop it.
Like, so you got to have something like that, and it's got to be off of RPO. So my thought is, if you take, and try my best to demonstrate, but if you take the ball, you give the RPO look, and then you throw it to the guy motioning.
Oh my gosh.
That's my best guess.
If he does a corn dog, that'd be go crazy.
Or it's a guy coming across in motion, maybe kind of jet sweepy-ish, like what McCole Hardman used to do. And again, he crosses your face, Cree snaps the ball. Hey everybody, I'm giving the ball to Clyde or Pacheco or whoever. And
he does orbit motion back there.
And it's just like one of those as the guy is coming the other way. Yeah. And of course, it makes me think of Nick Bosa, because Nick Bosa was in like hell when they played the Chiefs, because he was just like, they not blocking me, and like,
which way do I run?
Yeah. So maybe you put if Patrick is able to get it around the defensive end, if you don't block him based on like kind of their principles of the offense, and like, hey, you want the RPO to look like it's going a certain direction, and you don't block the DN, and then maybe you just try to like whip it around them. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but these are my best guesses.
I have a vision of Max Crosby though,
jumping up trying to bat it down, and then
we can get him again too. That'd be nice.
One of my favorite moments of watching franchise, I was like, hold on, did he punch
you woke up to Rome?
Yep.
Hold on. I had to tell Holly. Hold on, I gotta rewind this. Did he punch him? What?
Literally,
I was like, what are you doing? It's like, what are you doing?
Why would you do that to yourself? You know what comes next,
right?
you know what's going to happen.
To be fair, it was 10 other guys not named Max Crosby on the field who didn't have a chance, honestly. Yeah.
Does he cuss that much in practice?
Who, Pat?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Not to the degree that maybe he should. Like, Pat was really clear about, yeah, man, I just go to like a different mode when I'm in a game. So I think sometimes in practice he might yell at a guy, or he might say, hey, let's F and go or whatever, or let's get back in rhythm. Yeah, but I don't think the practice environment is not what it's like in the game. I think it's cool that they showed one of the games where he was like, I'm ready to go, and I'm like, dude, it's Friday. Like, it's not Sunday. It's like, Saturday and then Sunday. So maybe he's intense on like a Friday practice from time to time if he knows it's a pretty important game. But no, I think game day he's just like a different. Like he goes into a different space. Yeah.
Were you even more surprised about some of the footage that you saw on the quarterback, or was it like I've seen that before?
I A little bit. I just felt like getting the footage with Jeff Christensen, his quarterback coach. I was like, ooh, I don't think I've ever seen anything on camera of those two guys working before, even though I know that Pat's worked with Jeff for a long time. I knew the stuff with Bobby was happening. And so it was cool that they explained as much as they wanted to, without giving like their whole regimen. And so like I remember Bobby telling me like in 2020 that like, no man, like he's a unicorn. I've never trained with an athlete who can do the things he's done. And then watching the documentary, it was just like, man, that's cool that like everybody else can now see this. Because, you know, I interview people and I write them in stories, but those are mostly one-offs. It's not like I can interview Bobby 20 times in a year, you know, but for people to see like what they do during the season, especially when Bobby told me in 2020, hey Nate, I'm probably gonna be moving. What do you think about this neighborhood? Or, you know, where you like, I think you're gonna have to stop going back and forth. Like I'm gonna have to be with Pat for at least portions of the regular season. I remember talking to him about like, yeah, I might have to change my business to some degree because he works with a lot of baseball players in Texas, and that's where he's from, and that's obviously where they built their rapport. But look, man, like Patrick wants me to like be around during the season, and it's just easier if I like, you know, split my business between here in Texas. So to like see it on camera for like fans and everybody to see, that was really cool because it was just like, I will never forget that. I think it came out probably that Monday night that like after the Jags game, he's working with Bobby on Monday night for, I guess, a modified version of the A-Day because again, he has a high ankle sprain. Just wild. And, you know, Brittany and the kids were at the gym, and like, there was a film crew there. I don't know if they used that footage in the doc, or I don't know if it made the final cut. But yeah, I just remember looking at him Wednesday and being like, I don't know, Bobby. He real stiff, man. He looks stiff out here on a Wednesday practice. And like me and Russ and Dodd, well, another one of my colleagues from The Athletic, we did a story about Patrick has a different pain tolerance than most people. I mean, I explained it earlier between him and Clyde having a similar version of the same injury, but his pain tolerance is different, and his flexibility and his mobility help him actually recover quicker than most. I mean, you can look it up. It's all in The Athletic. But I remember being like, I don't know, man. He looks stiff. And then he'll be ready. He's going to play. And I was
He's
like,
a dog.
He's like, dog. He's like, all right.
I mean, high water. He's going to be
I know he has to play, but like, it's going to be good. And he's like, no, he'll play. I was like, okay. I mean, so for fans to see all of that, and the best part of Bobby explaining how Pat is like an owl, I was like, God, that's such a good comparison. Because like he sees everything. It is one of the most crazy guys. I remember losing my mind in 2019. I think I said this before, where the dude had such good vision that he would look back at the referee and be like, I can scramble, right? I can scramble. Ain't no flags. All right, here I go. In the middle of a play.
That's
like, crazy. And it's just like, hey man, ain't nobody open. I gotta move. Oh, that's a flag. Let me throw it away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's wild.
That's
like, dude, nobody
he did it in the Tennessee run. The Tennessee run, he does it.
Yeah.
He looks at the ref and goes, okay, I can go. Okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Like, it's just
in the middle of the play with Jeffrey Simmons chasing him down.
And so when Bobby explains that he like his neck and like his spine and all that, I was like, God, that's such a good way of explaining it, because like the dude looks like he has just vision, and he's strong enough and flexible enough that where he can just see almost everything, and it's just like that's amazing, man. So yeah, that was my favorite parts of the doc.
I'm gonna ask you one last thing here, Nate, real quick. So like, do you agree with majority of Chiefs Kingdom that we don't want joint practices at all? Do we agree?
I mean, it's never going to happen under Andy Reid.
Yeah, Andy Reid never going to do a joint practice.
Do you want to keep that going? Do you want to have no joint practices moving forward? Do you want to keep it the same way?
I I've only covered the team since Andy Reid's been the coach, so I don't know any other way. I would love to see it. I talked to some of my friends who were like, Aaron Donald, like, not only did he grab his helmet, he threw it at him, or he like swung it at him. I mean, like,
Rams Bengals. Yeah.
Oh, that was great, and that was coming off the Super Bowl, and of course the Bengals are, they're talkers. It's great. It's great for the sport. But even watching Hard Knocks with like the Lions, it's like, all right, fellas, we're gonna go to Indy, and we're gonna do a joint practice, and we're gonna play them in a preseason game. And I'm like, what? Like
that's crazy.
That seems unhealthy. And so of course those guys are gonna get in fights. But yeah, like Andy's never going to do a joint practice. He just doesn't believe in it. And so
I think I'm with it, dog. Like, you get to hide some of your secrets. You know what I mean? Like, like you said, you don't want to give out too much.
Right.
And Andy wants to run it on his time too. And,
Yep. And I think some coaches are like, it's good because it like raises the intensity, but on the other end, it's like you can't necessarily control every variable because that dude's not on my team. So does he give a bleep about me?
Nope.
Again, like I might get hurt because we're going at it, or we get into some scuffle, or somebody wants to punt. Like, I mean, somebody wants to go and like swing on somebody with their helmet still on, and it's just like, so it's not as controlled of an environment as you think it is.
Or DeAndre Hopkins wants to run a great route, and D'Angelo Hall just can't handle it because
man. That's Hard Knocks Hall of Fame right there.
Oh, it really is. It really is.
That clip is eternal. Dear God, I don't start nothing. I just end it.
Yep.
Ended this man's whole career.
Yeah, he was done after that. It was just like
done. It was over. Oh man,
unbelievable.
Well, shoot, Nate. So I got to cut it short, man. But we appreciate your time, man. This is a great episode. It's always great to have you on. We welcome you on the show at any time, man. Anytime you're available.
Yeah.
You know what's up. So
we always set new records when Nate come on the show.
I mean, God bless Holly. She's probably gonna be like, "Yeah, I knew it was gonna go for 2 hours." You're like, "Yeah, it's fine."
and we got you the fire graphic this week too, man. I think you look very handsome.
It was great. I was like, look at this, baby. Look what they doing to me. Look at this. Look at this.
Shout out to Sam, man. Shout out to Sam.
Shout out to Sam. I was like, "Oh, this is the nicest graphic I've ever had coming up."
Shout out to Sam.
So like I remember you sending them to me, Country, and I was just like, I'm like, y'all can just say I'm coming on the show. Y'all don't have to do all this. This is great. So,
hey man, trying to step it up, brother.
Yeah, and what makes it great is like I'm showing Holly, and like that's the photo she took of me when we were on vacation. So she was just like, she was like, oh yeah, and so it's like, you like that photo? Let me put that on the profile on the avatar, So yeah,
shout out to Holly, a beautiful wife, man. It was a pleasure to meet her, man. She was cool.
Yeah, it's the best part of the city, right? I mean, we could be anywhere, and like I'll bump into somebody, and it's just like, man, what a time! Like it's just, it's great. It's honestly.
I told Nate, I said, Therese is gone. May he rest in peace.
Yep.
I said Herbie is in Vegas shooting dice as we speak. I said, Nate, what did I say, Nate? Please don't leave.
I was like, I'm not going nowhere. No, I'll be just fine. I'll be just fine right here.
I'm holding you to that, bro.
Yeah, and I'm glad we could find the time to do it because like at this point in camp, like I said, like I'm ready for the preseason games, so I definitely know they ready for the preseason.
Same here, dog.
He's like tired of seeing that same jersey.
Yep.
Is that Hawaiian Brothers open yet?
Huh?
Is that Hawaiian Brothers open in St. Joe yet?
If so, I haven't seen it. I'll have to drive by and tell you, but like I don't know. Yeah.
Hey Nate, you want to know what's
it's
so
great
funny?
talking to you, Nate. Also.
Yes, thank you. Man. Yeah.
But real quick, you want to know what's so funny, Nate, dog? Like, Mark Gunnels. Shout out to my guy Mark Gunnels. Hey, Mark, man, I got a little jab at you for this one, dog. Like he was saying, from my memory, I can't remember a bigger preseason debut other than Patrick Mahomes since Justyn Ross. And I said, I forgot you in diapers, dog. So I had to remind him. Like Joe Montana literally sold out Arrowhead Stadium
Right.
for the first preseason game.
Mark was tripping on that one.
That crowd went crazy.
Over anything, right? Over anything. Yes.
Yeah.
Like
as a Chiefs fan, you cannot forget that moment, dog.
Yeah.
Would you put Tyreek hype up on there? People were ready to see Tyreek, bro, because y'all talked about him every day.
That speed is it's breathtaking, man. Like
Joe Montana was different, dog. You talking about
I said this on Times Ours, but like you can Google this. Like Google, maybe I might do it on my phone, but Google like Joe Montana, like Kansas City Airport, and my man is getting mobbed the moment he landed. Like that was the beginning of real like Chiefs, like mayhem.
He put us on the map.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. Like Derek Thomas was already on the team, and like they were already going to the playoffs with like Dave Craig and Neil Smith. But like, yeah, man, with like Joe was like people should remember this. Like the Arizona Cardinals could have had Joe Montana, and he wanted to play for the Chiefs.
What's up with Clark Hunt in Arizona, man? He don't like them, huh?
Yeah.
Andy Reid was sitting on the airport. He was sitting.
Yeah, he was just like, hey, you ain't gotta go. You ain't
gotta go there.
Keep talking. We can just keep talking.
Man, I almost forgot. I know we having a long show, but Boogie said he had to tell his guests. You had to tell our guests what you was wrong about. What was you wrong about, Bud?
I'm glad you remember that.
I remember. I just remember.
Let's hear this.
Okay.
Let's hear this.
It was Justyn Ross, man. After seeing him at training camp, I do think he's going to make the roster now. You know, I was saying it's way too early, but...
I was saying the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, he's just stay healthy. Just stay healthy, and he'll have a great shot, man. But yeah, he's a camp darling. You know, it's not the same. I think there's just a confidence within people in the organization that are like, yeah, like he's really talented. It's just like, can we keep him healthy? Can we keep him, available for, he's never. The tough thing about all these guys is like, man, they've never played a 17-game season. So how can we get them to game 1? And then if we get them to game 1, how can we get them through, game 17, game 18 in the playoffs? Like it's crazy. The thing that I know a lot of people were hyped about Tyreek. The person that, just blew them away last year was Pacheco. I mean, it was like after the first practice, I started hearing like, hey man, this Pacheco dude's like, this Pacheco dude is different. And it is like, well, hey, let's settle our. I mean, this is scouts, this is coaching staff, this is like anybody in like. Okay. We know how it goes. Maybe we just a little excited because he's a 7th round running back who we know got skills. Let's just wait till the pass come on. And then the pass came on when they were like, like they couldn't contain themselves last year about Pacheco. And I would remember being like, I don't know, guys. Like I don't know if I can write this. like literally being like, I don't know if I can write the hype. Can I agree to the hype just yet? Then they played the Bears, and he had that catch on the boundary, bounced off dude, got a first down or whatever, and I was just like, they were right. like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to write this now. And then they gave him the ball in the first game of the season, and it was just like, they're actually using him on offense? Like, what is happening? Like, Pacheco made the scouts, made the personnel department, made the coaching staff, and made his teammates love him before they left St. Joe. And it is the most remarkable thing I've ever seen, because the dude was a 7th round pick from Rutgers, and to the point where you're like, how did this happen? And scouts would tell you, go look at the tape, and you go, yeah, Michigan was destroying that offensive line. Michigan was killing that quarterback. Like, oh, they were in 3rd and long all game. No wonder he never got the ball. Like, but Justyn Ross is probably going to make the team, would be my guess. Again, they left camp last year truly believing Isaiah Pacheco was a star. And to this day, I was just like, how did this happen? You know? And they were, for a year, at least, you know, for last year, they were right. Like, he made everybody believe in him by the time from the start of camp to the end of camp. And I don't know if Justyn Ross can do the same thing, but yeah, he's the guy to watch when they play the Saints. Like, please keep him on the field, give him as many opportunities so that you can see what he can do.
Yep. Well, so Nate, once again, man, thank you for hopping on the show tonight, man. So enjoy the rest of camp, and we look forward to hearing what you guys say after the first preseason game.
Always a pleasure, bro.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to it. By the way, this is better than Browns Jets, so thank you, fellas. You only prevented me from watching the first preseason.
Of course.
Oh man,
this was way better than watching threes. The threes, put them out there.
Oh man. Go ahead, man.
All right, let's get to the sponsor before we get up out of here, man. Shout out to the good people at Homage, as always. Today, they special is.
Oh, I'm sorry. You
still messing with the chat. You always be doing that. Anyway,
I don't be paying attention.
The $25 pop culture T-shirts going on. You know, school's right around the corner. You got that special going on. So you got your little pop culture going on. You got the MTV shirts. You got your old school logos with your sports teams, all the other stuff. And the South Park. I see they got South Park on here too. So they got that going on. And speaking of the Jets Browns game, Homage is affiliated with the Cleveland Browns in a way. So you got the $99 Homage starter jacket if you're a Browns fan. So there's that. Got the Pro Football Hall of Fame collection. They just announced the class. They did that pregame, whatever. So you got those shirts of the guys that are going to be in the Hall of Fame this year.
Did we get any chicks in?
What I'm seeing is they trying to get Otis Taylor in for the senior.
Man, come on and get Otis Taylor in, man. That's right. Come on, man.
We got one, Revis.
They working on
it. Oh yeah, we got Darrell Revis, the Island.
Oh God.
Man, get Otis Taylor in there, man. He shouldn't have to die to get in, man. Y'all waited too long on Buck O'Neil and he passed away before y'all can put him in. Get Otis Taylor in there, man. Come on. It's time, bro.
Amen. All right, and then we got the NFL Big Helmet Collection. That came back, so you got that. And then also you got the logo collection too. Homage got some stuff coming out, man. So go and copy some gear and pay homage.
Yeah, homage. Chiefs legend, Darrell Revis.
Chiefs legend.
Man, all he had to do was swipe the ball down. He didn't hit the ball back to Mariota, man. Forget Revis.
Oh my God. All right, so with that being said, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share all your social media platforms. Till the next episode, we out of here.
Peace. Nate the Great.